feeling good, can I tell?
All right, it's on now. Okay, okay. Anytime you want to start, take a breath first, man.
1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
Good.
All right, on top family, my name is Brother Ray. We'd like to welcome everyone to the Brooklyn William Mackey Jr. History Club. We meet here every Wednesday in honor of William Mackey Jr., Louis Ray Rivera, Amos Wilson, El-Haj Malik Shabazz, Brother Assad, Gil Noble, the late attorney Alton Maddox, Leola Maddox, Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Ivan Van Sertima, and we just added another great warrior in the conscious community who I just got a call that he made his transition, and I'm very sad to hear Brother Yusef. Yusef, in the early days, had the collection of tapes in history like the late Brother Crimson Brown. So I'm very saddened because he was a good friend of mine and he was a good friend of Professor Mackey's, and he made his transition. So we're going to miss Brother Yusef. So we meet Leola Maddox. So we meet here in honor of these people, because one thing about Leola Maddox family, Leola Maddox worked in Teaneck, New Jersey. And she had an old car. And she drove that old car from Teaneck, New Jersey, all the way to the United African Movement. And she would eat her dinner in the United African Movement because she was dedicated to UAM and bringing people together for lectures, the camaraderie, the sitting in a place and having a speaker and people talking in the conscious community, and she left us too soon. So all of these people we try not to never forget, so we have the lectures, you know. Now, Brother Raji is going to bring the camera over to the Amos collection. We have these books to help Brother Sababu in African World Info Systems to continue the great work of Amos Wilson. Amos's classic, Blueprint for Black Power, Black on Black Violence, Sababu's last book in honor of Amos, The Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat for a Reclamation of the African Mind. And we definitely need a reclamation of the African mind in this day and time. Awakening the Natural Genius of Black Children. African-centered consciousness versus the New World Order. And you hear this cliche about the New World Order. Everywhere you turn, this, the Great Reset. Amos's classic, African-centered consciousness versus the New World Order. And he talks about the role of African people in the New World Order and the global reset. And it doesn't look good. But in Africa, they're making some major moves. You know. But before I continue, I want my Zoom audience, give yourself a great big hand. Huh? No, you gotta be open so they can hear. And I want the people that came out to support the Mackey's group, give yourself a great big hand. Amos Classic, The Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. And what we have now, where this book, The Falsification of African Consciousness, And we have a lot of false people running around trying to make you think they're conscious. Eurocentric history, psychiatry, and the politics of white supremacy. And they got a lot of black folks under their control. Issues of manhood in black and white, an exclusive look at masculinity and the societal definition of the African man. In honor of Louis Ray Rivera, when Professor Mackey left us too soon, our good brother Louis Ray Rivera would come down here and he would talk for hours. And he didn't live too far from here. And after we pack up and walk him home, he only lived about 5 blocks. And he talked for another hour and a half. So Louis Ray Rivera will never be forgotten. And he had the Mackey's group on BAI. And all of us came down, Sister Gloria, Brother Assad, we had a good time. And he thought enough for the Brooklyn William Mackey Jr. History Club. And he had us on BAI. S.K. Damian, The Distorted Truths and the Bastardization of African Cosmology. One of our members, Sister Etta Dixon, I'm a Wellness Witness. But this classic, Black on Black Violence, the psychodynamic of black self-annihilation in service of white domination. I'm going to read it again. Black on Black Violence, the psychodynamic of black self-annihilation in service of white domination. And you hear everybody from California to New York, from north, south, east, west, from this part of the globe to the next part of the globe. Black on Black Violence. Amos Wilson's book is impeccable. And you'll get a whole definition on that nonsense. Every big city mayor, every Soros flunky is talking about, well, why are we doing it to each other? We got to have a conference on it. Amos's work. Now, I got some other publications I'm going to bring up. In honor of Dr. Randy Short, Slavery Mastery, the Impact of Religious Slavery Revealed. We have this book in honor of Dr. Randy Short. You can go on YouTube, and you can listen to him, and he has a host of information. The Lost Jews, the last of the Ethiopian philosophers, and you have that Negroes with Hebrews situation. The story of the surviving ancient tribe of black Jews recognized as such by the state of Israel, who now face extinction at the hands of their Christian and Muslim countrymen. Who will cry for the African? You're sitting up there crying for everybody else. You can't stop crying for other people. Cry for your own. In honor of Brother Harold, who left us too soon, the transfer agreement, the untold story of the secret pact between the Third Reich and Jewish Palestine. And from what I understand, boy, they had a problem with Edwin Black with this book right here. In honor of the great Dr. Ben, black man and a noun on his family. And they didn't have too many computers back at this time, and Dr. Ben lays it out. Honor of Dr. Ben. In my opinion, the only one that cared about the people from the state of Georgia, Miss Cynthia McKinney. When China sneezes from the coronavirus lockdown to the global political economic crisis. And them same black folks who are under white domination got her out of office. And they down there now doing the same thing. This is a small read, War on the Horizon, Nayo Kamati. Get this book, it's a small read, but the research behind it, when you do the work, is unbelievable. The Irritated Genie. Our brother out of Atlanta, out of Georgia, Dr. Scott Whitaker, in his classic, Medicine, the causes and solution to the disease, malnutrition, and the medical sins that are killing the world. If you go on Darren Muhammad's program that he did a couple of weeks ago, and he has Dr. Scott Whitaker on there, this is a bad man. So his book is selling like hotcakes. You get his book and you read it, and you're going to get a whole lot of information. We're glad to have him as a member of our team, Dr. Scott Whitaker. I picked this book up not too long ago, Without Sanctuary, Lynching Photography in America. Without Sanctuary is a great and terrible book. It is an album of peacetime atrocities during which hundreds of photos. And you hear everybody talking about reparations, and this is the scene of a hanging. Mobs of white folks around just looking. 3 brothers hanging from ropes. The pictures are here. In the woods of Marietta, Georgia. (1870) in Montana. 3 Negroes lynched in Duluth, Michigan, Minneapolis. And every time you turn around, they want to talk about reparations and have a debate. And when you look at all these photos, there's nothing to debate about. I just happened to pick this book up. I'm strolling and rolling, and I see this book, Capitalism on a Ventilator, The Impact of COVID-19 in China and the U.S. And you heard a lot about ventilators and all the money that they was making off of ventilators when they was doing people in. And nobody was crying. But the people that lost individuals. I happen to pick this up, Family Dope Incorporated, British Opium War Against the World. And everywhere you look, you get the stench of marijuana. Big city mayors and the governor making marijuana legal. As soon as you come out your house, they there. I was coming out of the gym one morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and the people were standing in front of the marijuana place on Fulton Street, waiting for the place to open. The same way we was waiting for the liquor store to open to get a pint of wine. And the culprit behind it, none other than George goddamn Soros. Dope Incorporated. That's the brains behind legal marijuana. It's in the book. Pick it up and read it. Causes unknown. The epidemic of sudden death syndrome in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. He was an analyst with BlackRock, and they wanted to find out how so many healthy people were paying their premiums, and why the insurance companies, and BlackRock controls everybody, was paying out this astronomical amount of money. And they wanted him to go through the data. And the only thing that they could come up with is that all these deaths had something to do with the slab. They had the pictures of the youngsters dying on the football field, the charts, the pictures of the people collapsing, young. So this is Edward Down, forwarded by presidential candidate Robert Kennedy. Dr. Joseph McCullough and Ronald Cummings, The Truth About COVID-19. And this classic by presidential candidate Robert Kennedy, The Real Anthony Fauci. When you read this book and listen and read about this, listen. The Real Anthony Fauci. Get the book. I just was stumbled upon this one. Vax versus unvax. Let the science speak. This is a doctor. So for anybody that open up their mouth and say Robert Kennedy is not a doctor, he wrote the book with doctors. Because people have a habit of saying, I was talking to a gentleman that worked for the FDA and he told him about Robert Kennedy is not a doctor. Robert Kennedy hooked up with doctors and wrote this book, as with The Real Anthony Fauci. And it states, the studies the CDC refused to do. This book is based on over 100 studies in the peer-reviewed literature that considered vaccinated versus unvaccinated population. Each study is analyzed on health difference among infants, children, and adults who have been vaccinated and those who have not, are presented in and put in context. Readers will find information, and I'm going to read the categories for you. Infant, child vaccination. Whoever has their radio on, please lower it. Thermolysis and vaccines. Live virus vaccines. Please cut your radio down. The human papillomavirus HPV vaccine. Vaccination and Gulf War illness. Influenza flu vaccines. Hepatitis B vaccinations. The COVID-19 vaccine, and vaccines during pregnancy, giving the massive push to vaccinate the entire globe. This book is a timely and necessary for individuals to make informed choices. So it's not just COVID, it's vaccinations in general. I'm going to read a couple of community events. You can get those books on Amazon, and we have the Amos collection here. Our Philadelphia Connection, Blog Talk Radio out of Philly. Sister Empress Chi comes on every Saturday at 10:30, and their telephone number is 1319-527-6189. And Sister Empress, Brother Lumumba, and our Philadelphia Connection come on Saturday at 10:30. And you can tune in and get in on the conversation, what's happening globally. And Sister Empress Chi and the Million Women's March have a whole bunch of speakers on there, and they start at 10:30, and sometimes they roll into after 12:30. So we want to give Blog Talk Radio a great big hand. The Irritated Genie, Ayo Kamati, comes on every Monday at 10 o'clock. 10 to 11 on WSYP 95.1 FM out of Birmingham, Alabama. That's Sankofa Revolutionary Radio. And that's Anthony Mohammed. That's one of the hottest shows. And you can tune in and actually call in. So if you go into Sankofa Revolutionary Radio family, you can get in on the goods with that one. Our Baltimore Connection with Brother Darren Muhammad. Tune In Radio. And State of the City, Baltimore, and Facebook Live, and it comes on Instagram, State of the City. That's our Baltimore family with Brother Darren Muhammad, and he's doing it up. Wednesday, sometime Thursday, he come on Wednesday, but Saturday show, 12 o'clock, is on the money. Also on Instagram, on the State of the City, Baltimore, Darren Muhammad. Every Tuesday, Dr. Aline, Your Immunity Project, comes on 7 o'clock. That's Dr. Aline, Your Immunity Project. That comes on every Tuesday at 7, and he runs a lot of information down on the slab. He's doing a lot of good stuff. Newark Connection African Echo Study Group. Brother Trust Graham is the mediator of that group with Brother Danny and Brother True, and they're doing the psychology of self-hatred and self-defeat toward a reclamation of the African mind. That's African Echoes. That's Friday at 8 o'clock. Put your information in the chat. Somebody should be on from the African Echoes group, and they will get it down and send you the information, or I'll send it to you. Also, Saturdays at 1:30, the gang out of Asbury Park, the Know Thyself study group with Brother True, and Brother Trust Graham is also the mediator of that group. That's 1:30 on Saturday. That's an excellent study group. I was listening to Simultap today, WBAI, from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and Dr. James McIntosh and Sister Richardine Theodore, WBAI 99.5, and the 18th, they have an anniversary, I believe. And if you go into the Simultap organization, I forgot to write the number down, but he was talking about it today. They're going to have food. Brother Anthony Browler, and I think somebody else is going to be speaking. But if you go into Simultap, he will have information on this event that's coming up this Saturday from 12 to 4. Also, Community Cop comes on every Tuesday at 5 o'clock on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You could go into the past programs of Brother Mike Graves and Noah Leader. That's Community Cop on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Also, family, if you want to view all the lectures from the Brooklyn William Mackey Jr. History Club, African Helping Africans, you can tune in to YouTube and all our lectures come up. So, ladies and gentlemen, our speaker tonight is one of the founders and co-host members of the Thorough Black Talk radio program. That's one of the hottest shows on the East Coast, and they will be pumping it up live. That's Sister Keisha, Brother Tag, Brother Blacksmith, Sister Marcia, and who else it is? I'm missing one more. Ashe. And Brother Ashe. The Big Five, I call it. So they come on tomorrow, and Sister Keisha has been a member of Mackey's, and she's always on point. So she said, Ray, I want to come in, and you can see her program, the lectures that she did on B.K. William Mackey. But she said, I want to come in and do a history of black music. We're going to bring the equipment over to the side, and we're going to let Keisha tell you about her program that comes on tomorrow, and she's going to do a history of black music. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give Sister Keisha a great big hand.
Hey, family, Zoom family, y'all see? Everything is good? You see the screen? Yes? Everything is good? Go like this. You can see it. Everything is good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Thank you. So now, we're coming down to the end of 2023. And normally, this time of year, we have a lot of family gatherings, right? So I'm not going to beat up on the people who celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas. Whoever floats your boat, go ahead. As long as you keep it black first, that's all that matters. Right? So if you celebrate Christmas, don't put no cracker Santa Claus up there, you know what I'm saying? Get you a black Santa Claus or something. Keep it black. But anyway, you're going to have gatherings with your family. Now, normally, you playing music, eating food, enjoying each other's company, creating memories. One of the things that we have to do more often is pass down these traditions that we have, right? So, for example, I can put on a particular song and it'll automatically take you back to a particular time in your life, right? Whether it be the first person you dated, the day you got married, when you had children, when you was at grandma's house, and they was having Thanksgiving dinner, when you and your cousin got caught, y'all went to jail, whatever. It's a song for all of it. When Dr. Lewis was here, he was doing, I think it's part 3. He did part 3 of his Africa series. We're up to 3 so far?
No, 5.
5. Okay. So he talks about the various exports in Africa that are being fleeced. And now you have African leaders who are saying, you know what? We're going to control our own resources. Enough of the fleecing of our homeland. You're going to pay for what you want, and you're going to kick rocks. Right? By hook or crook, this is what we're going to make happen. But here in the United States, people often ask, what is Black America's culture? One of the things that we are now reclaiming is our music. It's one of the #1 exports in the world. In fact, Black American music is the foundation of this fabric, this country's moral code. So, for example, when President Obama, former President Obama, won the presidency, there was a celebration, right? So he brought in various artists, right? Chance the Rapper was one of them from Chicago, right? To come and celebrate that. So we always have music a part of our celebration. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of our heritage. It's something that we have to be proud of and pass down these traditions, right? So for me, for example, when I think about family getting together, let's say for Thanksgiving holiday, I automatically think about my mother in the kitchen listening to Hal Jackson Sunday morning classics, right? So she got Hal Jackson blasting, the kitchen is smelling good, and people was coming in and out, right? These are things we have to pass down to other generations. And I find it to be problematic that we don't do it often, because when you talk to our younger brothers and sisters, they have no clue of these things, because it's not being passed down in their family, right? I want to talk tonight about some trips that I have taken in search of music history. Also, I want to talk about some of the new artists that we have coming up. And I played earlier today, you know, a piece from October London. And if you listen to October London, outside of Ray Ray's wife, who's ever heard of October London before? Mike has heard of October London. But if you play him, you would automatically think you're listening to Marvin Gaye. Now, Marvin Gaye has been deceased for quite some time. His flow, the way he dresses, his mannerisms, all Marvin Gaye. All Marvin Gaye. And if you didn't know any better, you would think it was him. So tonight we're going to get introduced to some new artists, some new genres of music that young Black people are taking over, that we push to the back, right? Because I can name 20 Black rock and roll artists that most people would not know, because it's not played on mainstream media, right? And I find that to be problematic, that you would not play a Lenny Kravitz, but you would play Tina Marie. And we would embrace Tina Marie. But it's a Black music station. Behooves me on how they do that. I've always had a problem with that. So now we're in an era where you can stream your favorites right to your phone, right? And listen, create your own playlist. right? But in doing that, I find that we miss out on a lot. Because you gear your playlist to your very own feeling, right? So you may miss out. So let's say, for example, if I was to put in Marvin Gaye, of course that Coca-Cola is going to come up. But if you don't know who that is, you will scroll past and say, what the hell is this? I'm looking for Marvin. You understand? So we have to figure out why that is. And I'm going to go into the science about all of that. A few weeks ago, I'm listening to a podcast, Urban X podcast. So shout out to the Black Dot and his son Malcolm. And he is an author, he is a podcaster, and he is a businessman. He is also a hip-hop pioneer. We talked about the magic of our music, how we allow others to take our magic. In his book, Hip Hop Decoded, this is a copy of his book, and I can see it on the screen here. All right, that's Black Dot's book. But in chapter 2, he talks about how music drives the culture. So say, for example, when you're seeing, I don't know, young black males running through the street, pants hanging down, or what have you, you may equate that to some of the music that they listen to. But, and you would say, well, you know, these artists today, they have to clean up their racks and so on and so forth. But this is the fabric of the record industry. And it goes back to the beginning. We're going to talk about the first black recording star, what he had to go through. It's no different than what, I don't know, Lil Yachty is going through today. It's no different. It's no different. You just see it in your mind as the music is going to degeneracy. But we're going to fix all of that tonight, hopefully. And then part 2, when I come back the next time, we'll talk about some of the stories behind some of your favorite songs, right? We'll talk about some stories there. Now, in Black Dot's book, in chapter 2, the first page, I think it's page 5, he says, music is the driving force of this new culture. It gives birth to all other avenues. The fashions we see, the products that are marketed to us, and the overall commercialism that of everything is a direct result of this music. Music promotes the lifestyle as well, whether it's gangster music, hustler music, trap music, sex music. Music is the law. When a song is played over and over again on the radio and the fans sing along with the words, they become a chant. When we chant with intent, consciously or subconsciously, we bring that which we are chanting about into existence, right? So think about the songs that they're singing now. If I'm telling you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, and you're chanting this, it becomes a part of your existence, right? That's where the degeneracy creeps in. He says, now, the amount of people chanting and the frequency of the chant will determine the speed and rate in which the results will be achieved. Also, this process is further accelerated the results of the psyche based on music videos, right? So now you're not only listening to it, but you have music videos that will give you an image of what this artist is trying to relate to you, right? So for example, when you had the BET Awards, or excuse me, the Essence Music Awards not too long ago, you've got Megan Thee Stallion and the rest of them on all fours twerking like dogs, right? So now think about a young girl sitting at home with her mom, and her mom not being aware of what's being said and what the visual is. That's already a part of that young girl's psyche. There are hundreds, thousands of videos of little toddler children mimicking this behavior, right? So what are they bringing into existence? Music is supposed to hold your memory. Music is supposed, again, remember I said there were certain things in your life that a song come on and it automatically take you to that place, right? In this book, Kebuka, written by Dr. Imalimu Baruti, and I think it's a must-have. It's a small book, 107 pages to be exact, but if you can get through it without breaking down, I'll probably pay you some money for it. That's how deep this book is. But he talks about, Kebuka. He says, over 30 years ago, a singing group calling themselves the OJs came out with a song called Ships Ahoy, in honor of those ancestors who lived and died on the seas of Almayalfa, the name we have given our great destruction. And like many other consciousness, raising songs that, many other consciousness, raising songs that frequented the airwaves during their heyday of the Black Power movement. Their lyrics introduced many of us to the innocence, to the unnecessary, painful remembrance of our capture and enslavement for the very first time. So if somebody who never heard about the transatlantic slave ship, voyage, they hear Ships Ahoy, it's already creeped into their psyche. It can either pique you to want to know more or can turn you off, right? That's like certain movies. Some people can't watch Roots because they get riled up. They can't watch 12 Years. I got a sister. She ain't going to watch no 12 Years a Slave because that's going to make her go out here and commit murders. You understand? Music is the same way. But we're going to break down today the science of it, right? So here's a picture that I took of the National Museum of African American Music. This is outside, late at night. I took a picture of the marquee. This museum is very, very interesting, and tonight we're also going to see some videos that I had taken while I was there. This is at the airport. One of the things that I noticed is that in the middle, now, Nashville, Tennessee is a music city. In the middle of, I guess you would call it their party time. It would be like, for us, Times Square, right, in Nashville. I found this marker of Samson Keller, barber, businessman, and civic leader, became the first African American to serve in Tennessee's General Assembly. Serving from 1873 to 1875, Keeble was appointed to the House Military Affairs Committee and the Immigration Committee. After service in the legislature, he was elected magistrate in Davidson County and served from 1877 to 1822. Now keep that in mind as I go through this. This is in the middle of Music City, right? When you go maybe about a mile from where this marker is, there is another marker, and I couldn't get a picture of it because we were moving in the car so fast and they didn't want to stop. But about a mile and a half is another marker that talks about that area being Tennessee's slave market. Now mind you, this is Music City. This is Music City. Everything about Nashville or Memphis is about us. When you walk through the town, right? Now I'm going to have breakfast and you see these cottage houses, right? Along these cottage houses, and this is throughout the town, right? I just stopped in front of one house. But you have musicians who are painted on the fences of these homes, right? Actually, the person who was taking the picture wanted me to move closer, but I wasn't because I don't play down here in Tennessee. You just don't play down here. Y'all watch your P's and Q's. So anyway, so we leave there and we go to the museum. Now, as you enter, let me try to expand that some more. There are carousels, as you see the gentleman standing here, listening to music, right? These carousels have so much music in them that it will take you about 2 months to listen to it all. And that's just on the walkthrough. That's how much of our music they have in their possession. It's crazy. They even have recordings of some of the folks who were enslaved, who were on the plantation, going about their day and singing to make it through. Now, as you go through, you will begin to notice things like this, where it talks about Sam Lucas published this song for his black minstrel troupe. Blackface was the only way African Americans were allowed to perform before a white audience. So again, they had to be a buffoon. This is in the beginning. When you look at artists today and you say, look at this behavior, it's the fabric of the business.
Right.
It's how it started. So you can't blame the artists today without blaming artists of yesterday. But they had to go through that. You have, here we go. All right. They have recordings, it behooves me, of people who were sharecroppers. And they have an entire console of people who have given music to the world but never received a dime. So when you see the music industry is always ripping off artists, it was originally that way. It's never going to change. You have to take possession of it. And so when you have people who are now looking to take possession of what originally theirs, it's problematic now. We'll get into that a little bit later. So, this is on the console also, and I talked about this before, the last time I was here, and I talked about the history, black history of the state of New York. When people talk about Berry Gordy, you know, being the first one to do it, then there's Sean Puffy Combs, and you have Baby and the rest of them in Louisiana. Black Swan was first. Black Swan was first. Okay? As the first significant black-owned company, Black Swan promoted African American artists of all genres, including opera, classical, luminaries like band leader Fletcher Henderson and composer William Grant, still got their start in Black Swan, where they developed a roster of talent and challenged the stereotypes about African American music. The label represented pride, social justice, and economic power, ushering in a new era of independent success in the music industry. They said they got tired of it. They got tired of the buffoonery. And so we're going to start our own. Here we go. I want you to see this video actually talks about the first artist on Black Swan Records. So all of these female artists today who give a lot of credit to the wrong people, they should be giving it to her, Miss Elizabeth, who was the first recording artist on Black Swan Records. In fact, she was a megastar, or what we consider a megastar at that time. The label was started by Mr. Harry Pace. And again, he just said he just was tired. He just had enough. You can go online and you can read the story of Harry Pace at your own leisure. I don't know why Wi-Fi is not working. But anyway, we'll make it through. That's why you gotta know what you're talking about. Now, I want to show you some very interesting facts about music and what we consider to be various genres, right? All of you know who Barry White is, yes? Yes. All right. I'll be a little bit worried if somebody say they ain't know who Barry White was. We got a problem. But his song, First, Last, My Everything, that's a country music song. Y'all know that's a country music song? Country music song. Let's get some background.
A classic. Songwriter Peter Sterling Radcliffe wrote the song in the 50s, and it went unrecorded for 21 years. When Radcliffe's friend Barry White was down on his luck, Peter stepped up and bought his kids toys for Christmas, a kindness White didn't forget when he became famous. So when Radcliffe offered him the song, White didn't hesitate to listen to it. Another songwriter who was in the room, and whose name ended up on the tune, laughed when he heard the country song with the clip-clopping of horses' hooves keeping the rhythm. He was shocked by White's positive reaction. The singer said, "Sterling, that song is a smash. I want you to stand on my face for the next 2 or 3 weeks. When you come back, you're going to be part of a smash." Changing the genre from country to disco, White kept the chord changes and part of Radcliffe's melody, but also added his own melody and nearly all new lyrics. Most of the changes came to him during a rough recording session. Barry went into the studio and made up his own melody all the way through. Half of the words in it he changed right in through the microphone. When Radcliffe heard the final result, he cried. On October 25th, 1974, the country song "You're My First, You're My Last, My In Between" that became "You're the First, the Last, My Everything" was released and became Barry White's third #1 R&B single.
So when you say,
as a corny country
I
song,
don't like country music. What do you mean you don't like country music? You know what you're talking about. You know what it started at. We are the originators of it. Of all genres, we are the originators of it.
Right.
In fact, George Johnson was the first black artist, period. Especially country. His song was entitled, I believe, the Whistling Coon. That was the name of the song, Whistling Coons. So again, when you look at artists today and you say why the behavior is the way that it is, that's the way it originated. We have to get this back. So you have people like Jermaine Dupri's father and many others who are trying to form commissions to get our music back. We have to take back our music. Enough is enough. When you look at various artists like Mr. Barry White, what's his story? Who is he? Not just where he came from, LA, being a gangster and all of that, but what was his story? What made him sing the way that he did? Right? You know it was the birth of a child that made him change his chord? That he did not have that original chord? But because a friend of his had a child, it overwhelmed him so much, he changed his tone in how he sang, which became unrecognizable, right? You hear Barry White, you automatically know who that is. It's unrecognizable. But because he saw the birth of a child, he changed the way he sang. That's magic. This is what Black Dot is talking about. We got to get back our magic, who we are. Shout out to Shaka Khan, too, who received her award. Now, this is, I'll put this on mute, James Ntuman, right? Former member of the East, mega producer. He produced so many songs that we all sing today, but may not have known that he had his foot in it. All right? So let me see if I can get it back. Now, this is the melody from Stephanie Mills, right? What you gonna do with my lovin'? Right? Phyllis Hyman. Right? James Ntuman had his footprint in it. Roberta Flack, Donny Hathaway. Right? He got his foot in that. Teddy P. He got his foot in that. Right? Come on. He got his foot in that. Stephanie Mills, he got his foot in that. Come on. This is information we have to continue to pass down, right? And these videos despite what you may believe, our young people are saying enough is enough. They're creating these videos. They're doing the research, but mainstream media will never tell you that. They're saying enough is enough. We have to pass this information down. We can't hold it for ourselves. So when you have your family gatherings, talk about the music. Talk about the music. Talk about Diggable Planners who's on night of the Grammy say, you know what? Y'all been robbing us. Y'all been robbing us. And we had enough. We've had enough. That's probably why you never heard
Everybody
more
to
from
think
Diggable
about
Planners.
the people right outside this door that's homeless as you're sitting in these $900 seats and $300 seats. They're not out there eating at all. Also, we like to say to the universal black family that one day we're going to recognize our true enemy and we're going to stop attacking each other, and maybe then we'll get some changes going on. We'd like to thank the Academy for recognizing us. So peace to the guys on earth and Nation of Islam. Diggable Planners say peace. Thank you very much.
What did he say? Stop going at each other. We got a real enemy out here. After that, you never heard too much from Diggable Planners after that. But now, like I said, Jermaine Dupree's father and others are trying to form a commission to make it better. We can't do this anymore. We can't do this anymore. And I know that somebody looked when I talked about October London, but this brother.
Is it me, or does he sound a lot like Marvin Gaye? Take me, babe. Oh, baby, take me back to your place of residence.
Now, see, you would think Marvin is singing if you didn't know who October London was. You can't tell me the ancestors is not trying to wake us up. That's why this new genre of country, black country music, is taking the world by storm. But we don't know about it, because mainstream media don't talk about it, right? Again, if you can compile your own song list on your phone to your own liking, you miss out on a lot, and they know that. But these young artists like Amiko Marks, or Reese Palmer, or Willie Jones, or Blanco Brown, or Sean Carter, they are taking the world by storm. I want y'all to get up on it. So when you have your family gatherings, and it's some of the most race-conscious music you would ever want to hear, out in the open. And they sing before majority white audiences. And they talking about the Yoruba in their songs. But when I go to these shows, you don't see us. You don't see us. And when these artists see us, man, they light up. They light up. One particular show I went to see Miko Marks and Reese Palmer here in the city. I'll try to pull it up if I can for you. They were so happy to see independent black media there that they called me behind stage, and you know, we started taking some photographs and videos and things of that nature, because they were so overwhelmed to see one of us. Well, there were a couple of us sitting in the front row, and they were so overwhelmed. So we have to protect these artists. We can't let them be out here by themselves, especially when they are trying to uplift us and change the game. You got young black women from Baltimore. Brother Ray talked about State of the City, Baltimore earlier. But you got young black women from Baltimore who are going down to Nashville and have some of the hottest country music out. But you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that. So I want to go through some of the things that I've seen at this museum, and I hope that you guys can get a chance to go down there. But again, I'm telling you, when you come through the door and these consoles that they have, it's going to take you 2 months to go through all of the music. And I find that problematic. In fact, one of the scientific research papers that I pulled for this, I had to pay UMass for it, and I'm pissed off. They have so much of our music in their possession. The University of Massachusetts, Harvard University, really pissed me off. I don't think I should have to pay $26 belongs to us. This is problematic. So again, going through the museum, here are some of the exhibits. Very, very provoking. These things are phenomenal. And they have a history and a story behind a lot of it. So let me show you some of the videos that we were able to see. I tried to get, because there was talking going on around there, so I was trying to record as much as I could without getting people's, you know, background conversations. But I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully it'll work. They have okay, Wi-Fi wants to act up tonight. We'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. But they have these displays, right? Musical displays. You'll have, like, I tried to pull up Aretha Franklin, the story of not just her music, but the music that inspired her, right? So here we go. For an example, you have, try to find something easy. Since we were talking about Barry, we'll stick with Barry. All right, so here's one console. And now you can pull up all of Barry White's music, but they also tell you who his influences were, right? James Cleveland, Ray Charles, the Mills Brothers. Also, who does Barry influence? Who followed him, right? Maxwell, D'Angelo, Mays from Frankie Beverly, Luther Vandross, right? So you have these consoles, and you get to pull up all of these artists' music. So again, it'll take you a week just to go through this, just to go through Barry and his influences, right? When you look at Stevie Wonder, who influenced him? Sam Cooke, Nat King Cole, Ray Charles, Little Walter, right? Who did he influence? Shaka Khan, India Arie, John Legend, Alicia Keys. And when you listen to their songs, the melody is the same. It's fascinating. Something that Stevie recorded, if you listen to a particular song that Sam Cooke recorded and tie that in with India Arie song, the melodies are always the same. So these people who own these industries, they understand our magic. They are very clear on how it works. So they keep it going, and they also know how to change the frequency to take you off your game, the same way they put you on your game, right? So if you have Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, his influence, one of my grandson's favorite. My grandson is 6, but he loved Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. You have the Platters, you have Jackie Wilson, right? Who are their followers? Michael Jackson, John Legend, the Stylistics, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. But when you hear certain songs, again, it's amazing how they sound the same, right? Same with Marvin Gaye. We were listening to October London, right? Of course, he's influenced by Marvin, right? But who influenced Marvin? Sam Cooke again, Jackie Wilson, the Drifters. Certain songs that these artists record, if you play it on that console, you can hear the connection in all of it. So these music execs, they know exactly what they're doing. Moved up into the hip-hop realm. If I'm listening to Salt and Pepper, right? Who are their influence? Curtis Blow, LL Cool J, Run DMC. Who are their followers? Foxy Brown, Little Kim, Missy Elliott, TLC. So again, these music execs know how to use our magic against us. You can hear a certain song and it will piss you off. You can hear the lyrics and I don't want to hear that. Turn that off. Or you can hear a song, that's it. That's my jam right there. We all got a jam that we love, right? Throughout the museum, there are things that you can see. This belongs to Mr. Duke Ellington. This is, I'm trying. This is his contract. See what, oh yeah, it came off good. Okay. This is a contract that he signed in October of 1957. You Same year my grandfather retired from the post office here in Brooklyn. So again, when I saw this, it just connected me to my grandfather, right? And everything that he wanted in his contract. Very interesting read. I also have a contract of Lady Day as well. Very interesting. But again, that suit that I showed y'all, the tuxedo, belongs to Duke Ellington. Louis Armstrong's horn is here. I wanted to pull up a record here. Give me a second. They even got people's shoes. It just behooves me. This is a classic of Louis Armstrong. But again, as I'm standing there, you can actually listen to Louis Armstrong. The gospel section, Wade in the Water. Man. They have an exhibit of Mahalia Jackson that will take your breath away. But they tie her into Corinne Hawthorne, right? Who is one of the top gospel artists right now, Corinne Hawthorne, right? But when you hear that melody, they have Mahalia Jackson, Corinne Hawthorne, and then they have our ancestors who were working sharecroppers, singing, and that melody is the same. Connects them. There is no difference, right? They just create different genres so that they can make money. As you enter, like I said, as you see Mahalia Jackson up here at the top, so you can hear that, and you can hear Kirk Franklin and many others as you enter. This place is fascinating. Thomas Dorsey. This, when you go in, there is a ramp that you come down. You can grab hold. See, I grabbed hold to this lyric sheet as you're going down. It looks kind of futuristic. I can't explain it, you just have to be there to see it. And as you're going down, just imagine you're going down on a slave ship and your ancestors are singing that call and response to make you fight on those slave ships for your freedom. It's a powerful exhibit. But again, we don't know that because ain't nobody talking about it. People ain't talking about it. Enduring the feature of black music is neither protest nor self-expression. It is communication. And no one cannot imagine a time when black musicians will have nothing to say, either to others or to God. You can't imagine. Music will never stop. It's a part of our DNA. It's a part of the fabric of our being. They have some classic magazines and, you know, again, I try to take as much video and photo as I could without getting interaction. I was trying to play it for y'all, but for some reason, it's not playing tonight. As you enter, look at the drums. Look at the drums as you enter. Now when you go in, and this is why you have to be technologically savvy, right? You're given a wristband, but you ain't given it. You got to pay for it. But this is the entrance of the museum. All of these are musicians and records up here. But as you enter, you purchase your wristband, and it's about very thin. Here, I got a copy of it. Here. This is the wristband that you purchase. Now you see that? This is just cardboard. But if you're not technologically savvy, you can't take any music home with you. If you don't know how to work this wristband, you can't take any music home with you. For $5, you can take as much music home as you want. As much as you want. But you gotta know how to work the wristband. So that's why I say to a lot of people, don't run away from technology, because it's the future, whether you want it or not. As you go throughout the museum, those consoles that I talked about, yeah. The consoles that I talked about, you have to scan that, right? And if you don't scan it the proper way, you're not going to pick up any music at all. You're not going to pick up anything. So, if you can, get down to Nashville and see this great museum, see all of the music that we have there. all of the artists that you have never heard of before. Again, I want y'all to remember, as you gather with your families this holiday season, and you playing music, tell these stories to the children. Aunt so-and-so, how Uncle so-and-so was. So many families don't even know their story. You don't even know. So it's easy for an artist to disrespect his mother if he doesn't know her. To disrespect his children if he doesn't know her. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to show you some great artists that you need to hear who are making headwaves in the industry. And I'm talking about owning their music, forming commissions so that they all own their music. Nas, I think last week, he started a healthcare plan for retired rappers, right, for the OGs. Now they have a healthcare plan because of Nas. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of things are happening, just that mainstream media is not telling you about it, and they don't want you to know about it because that's your magic. That's your magic. What's up, you? Huh?
Did you contact Professor Nas and tell him to give you free access to the music?
Say that again?
Professor Nas, Sear Jones.
Oh.
At Harvard.
No, I ain't contacting him. And matter of fact, I have a video of 50 Cent. He just went a month ago to that museum. He was amazed, blown away. He couldn't believe it. He was like, I just don't want to leave. It's so, if you're a musician, listen, my father was a musician. So, you know, it's in me to love this music. But we have to love it enough to know that it's something that we own, it's something that we created, it's something that we must maintain. We got to take back from the powers that be. Because once we get our magic back, think about it. The Civil Rights Movement. There was a musical score for the Civil Rights movement, right? For the Black Power movement, there was a musical score for the Black Power movement, right? The conscious movement in the 80s, there was a musical score for it. So when you want people to get involved, what is the musical score? Right? We can't be so stiff. And I find that problematic in this so-called conscious community. It's seriously problematic. And that's why you can't get the mainstream out in the street. Because you're too contrite. You can't. Like I said earlier, I personally don't celebrate Christmas, but if you do, that's your vote. Go ahead and float with it. Just keep it black. Wow. Just keep it black. I don't care what you do. Listen, you may not like Thanksgiving, but Aunt so-and-so does. And when Aunt so-and-so say, I'm cooking and you come over, you come over. I don't play with my aunts or my uncles. When they call the phone, they say, I got to come over, I'm putting the shoes on. That's it. That's it. We got to get back to that. And sometimes, the more educated we become, the more we know, the more we become standoffish. And that's problematic. This is why you have organizations who die with this original leadership. It's dead. It always does. Because you don't understand what your magic is, how we connect with one another, and be progressive. We have to be progressive. So let music do that for you, right? Brother Tad and we had an event, Thanksgiving event. We didn't call it that. Sister Veronica was there. We had music playing and everything. But I bet you all them young people was there. You understand what I'm saying? You have to know how to reach people. I love Pop Smoke. I don't care what nobody says. I love me some Pop Smoke. He can get it in. However, there is a time and a place for it. If I'm listening to him, my grandson isn't. It's a time and a place for everything. And today, I see a lot of people with kids in the back seat, in a car seat, and they listening to any and everything. That's going into the psyche of these children. You already letting them know they ain't nothing. Because the song tells them that. And this is the hottest song on the radio. Why? Because the blueprint of the record industry is degeneracy. It started out with George Johnson. That's why Black Swan Records was created. Right? Now, check this out. I don't want y'all to think I'm lying here.
Is a Pop Smoke dead?
He is. He was murdered.
In California, Florida,
Now, this is from the National Library of Medicine. Now, I'm not a physician, but I can read. Okay?
Amen.
But they talk about the role of music. Let me show you this. The use of voice through singing is a unique form of interaction and expression. Singing is closely linked to the first forms of interaction between mother and her infant. So if you're listening to Megan Thee Stallion with your baby in your womb and you on all fours twerking, you don't think that's going to affect your child? You may not think so, but medicine says something different. Okay? The body of research on parent-infant communication has shown that humans' earliest contact has many musical qualities. Let me say that again. The body of research on parent-infant communication has shown that humans' earliest contact has many musical qualities. We are a musical people. We are a musical people. Let me show you something. See if I have it here. There's so much stuff here. We've got to do better in how we relay our music and our story to these young people. We have to. Let me see. I'm trying to find a video that I have. Of my grandson's immediate reaction to a particular song. And he was a year old. I can't seem to find it. But his reaction to a song. Here, I took him to Battery Park, Commodore Park, right? The African Street Festival. And they had musicians who were playing a Tribe Called Quest, a jazz rendition of Tribe Called Quest. And he was out in the yard getting it in. All the ladies was like, oh, let me come over here with him. But it resonated with him. It resonated with him. Check the Rhyme. That was the song, Check the Rhyme. It resonated with him. Automatically he reacted because that's what his grandparents listened to. They don't listen to things, we don't listen to degeneracy around him. Now, if we want to do it ourselves, that's what we do. But not around him. That's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. So, be mindful. Be mindful. Remain educated and steadfast in our story. People say that Elvis Presley is the king of rock and roll. But if he stole from Big Mama Thorpe and Nina, what's her name? Nina Ray, he stole her dance moves, right? That shaking the hip stuff, that came from Nina Ray. Is that her name? I believe.
Otis Blackwell.
Right.
Otis Blackwell?
That's where he stole everything.
That's where he stole everything.
He wrote everything, sung everything, showed them how to dance to it, everything.
So is he the king of rock and roll or the king of thievery?
King of thievery.
Right? But if our children go to school and they're taking a music education class, if you don't reinforce this information, they'll believe it. Elvis is the king of rock and roll. See on the front of Rolling Stone magazine, Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time. How that happen? How that happen? And why he's still breathing is beyond me. So we have to continue to pass these things down. We have to continue to tell our story. Nobody talks about Miss Laverne Baker. Nobody talks about it. But every rock and roll artist and video and song you ever heard, Tweety-dee-dee, they rob her. They rob her. Nobody talks about her. And when you go into this museum, you can hear everything she ever recorded. Released and unreleased. And you can take it home with you. You just got to know how to work the technology. I saw a lot of older folks in there who I lent some helping hand to, but I got tired because it gets annoying. I'm sorry, but it does, because you have to move with the times. You can't be in 1970 and we going to 2024. It's not going to work. Okay? Mr. Bailey, the Grand Ole Opry, America's first country star, black country star. How could you not love it? How could you not love it? You can hear everything he's ever recorded when you enter that museum. You have here, for example, I'm going to show you how this goes. If I pull up Laverne Baker, her whole style, her whole catalog is going to come up. There were certain songs that Fat Domino made the same exact melody. Fascinating. Different genres. Clearly different genres. But the thread, Chuck Berry, the same. The thread is the same. Fascinating. Here they tell our story when we first arrived. And at the bottom of this console, there is, it's a small little box. When you put your bracelet inside, it's like you're going to transport it back to the plantation. And you hear that call and response. You hear that call and response. It takes you back there. It's fascinating. So, you know, if you can, get down there, the call and response of singing. The next time I come back, I'm going to talk about all of that because I'm going to show you many artists today who use call and response outside of hip-hop. I know a lot of people like to point to hip-hop, but outside of hip-hop, a lot of artists use call and response. Going back to, I don't care, you look at Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, call and response, right? You can listen to someone like a Billy Preston, right? Call and response. Very fascinating story before we go to break on Billy Preston. You know, he was very conflicted on his sexuality. A lot of people don't want to listen. He was arrested. Wasn't it uptown in Harlem for trying to rape a 16-year-old boy? Y'all can Google this. I'll tell you. Listen.
Things happen.
Listen. However, but what was his story? Who raped him when he was a boy? Very prominent pastor and gospel artist. We'll talk about that the next time I come back because I want to talk about the stories behind some of these greatest hits. You know, like you listen to, I don't know, Love Train by Confunction. Powerful story behind that. You know the story behind that?
No, but I thought Love Train was the OJ's.
No, it's Confunction. No, it's not. It's Confunction.
It's the OJ's, but it's okay.
I know they got a title, but I'm talking about Confunction song.
Oh, okay.
Love's Train.
Love's Train?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said Love Train.
No, Love's Train.
Oh, you gotta get it right.
Listen, the story behind that is both of the two artists in the group were dating the same woman at that time. And she would sleep with one in the afternoon and the other in the next morning. And they got into a fight about it. I got the story, I got it all down. So the next time I come, we'll talk about it. The stories behind some of your greatest hits. It's fascinating to me. But again, you can go to this library and check it out, or you can do the research on your own, if you will. I like this, somebody reposted this with Michael Jackson and Usher, how he passes the torch on to Usher. Passing the torch on. Passing it on. Whitney Houston did the same with Monica. Passing it on. Passing it on. We got to learn that philosophy in the movie never passed nothing on. That's why it's always dead. So it's always dead. When we were with the Straight Black Pride movement, there was a situation where we had to get letters written immediately, right? Because the chairman of the Straight Black Pride movement was banned from the country of Bermuda.
That's right.
And we needed to have something written to present to that government. You know, one of our 19-year-olds wrote that up, presented it to the country so that he can get access. Even he was blown away. Who did this? Out here in New York. Our young sister did it. We have no problem with doing that. I love it. I love it. We got to get out of that habit of hoarding information, hoarding movements, hoarding organizations, hoarding the music. You even share it with your family. Some grandkids come over, nieces and nephews, put music on in the house. Let them enjoy. Let them play. Let them get an understanding. Then you can have conversations to pass traditions down, right? So, for example, every family reunion that we have on my mother's side of the family, it started with the Black National Anthem and the drumming to our ancestors, so that the young people in our family can see that once we're gone, when these reunions continue, this is the tradition you must continue with. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? So if some young people come over your house and say, we gonna listen to different music. Now this house you ain't. You gonna listen to this. And become accustomed to it, used to it. And then you all can have conversations. Don't fall for the okie doke, because it's our magic. It's our blueprint. It's the fabric of who we are in this country. This is the asset that we have in this country. This is the resource we have in this country. And we have to gain possession of it. So next time I come back, we will talk about those who are forming commissions to make it happen. We'll talk about some of the stories behind some of your greatest songs. And we're going to talk about a lot of artists that you may have forgotten, right? So if I say, you know, who wrote Lift Every Voice and Sing? Say that again? And his brother, James and John, right? But our kids got to know that off the rip. So when you come to our family reunions, yeah, the children in our family, they can tell you that off the rip. And they can sing all chords of that song. All of it. It is mandatory. Unless you're a toddler and you can't speak. But it's mandatory in our family. Right? So, even how we name our children. Every third generation, the firstborn must have an African name. Right? I didn't know that until my parents were deceased. My grandparents were deceased. I didn't know that. Nobody ever told me the story. But it wasn't until I went to the family reunions I found out why. Why my mother and grandmother didn't speak for you because of my name. My mom wanted to name me after my father. My grandmother said, no, it must be an African name. Period. Period. So you have to pass these things on. So let music be your guide in doing that. So I don't want to get in trouble with Ray Ray. You want to take a break, right, Ray Ray? Come back for Q&A. We'll get y'all up out of here. Until next time we come back. Stories are wild. Stories are wild, some of your greatest songs. All right? So this plaque is hanging up. It says, a lean, loose, limp Negro commenced plucking a guitar beside me while I slept. His clothes were rags. His face had on it some of the sadness of the ages. As he played, he pressed a knife on the strings. The effect was unforgettable. W.C. King. But again, the story behind the music, right? This man happened to hear this guy playing, and it takes him away. This is one of the displays that they have.
Essential to coping and adapting.
held people together in shared culture. During the migration, African Americans from the South interacted for the first time with many other cultural groups, such as those from the Caribbean, leading to new types of creativity. Advancements in technology, such as the amplification of instruments and voices, led to new musical forms. New systems of broadcast and distribution helped the music to spread across the nation. More people were being exposed to African American music, including black people outside of the South, white people throughout the country, and eventually audiences in Europe and Asia.
So again, these are some of the displays that they have at the museum.
And it's interactive approach to music making, even though so much change had come to pass.
Look at the community
The first
gathering.
recordings of jazz by African American
As these musicians sit
occurred in
outside
New
and
York
play.
in 1960, and Los Angeles in 1922, and soon jazz spread into popular culture. Religious music moved into the cities, and new forms were greatly influenced by the Pentecostal holiness movement and the sanctified tradition. Around World War II, traditional blues transformed into urban blues in conjunction with blues musicians relocating into the urban north. And in their new environments, blues musicians began making studio recordings of this new blues style.
Again, styles just change. As we develop, as we progress, as we move through life, the styles just change, but the chords remain the same.
And west, in many cases, leaving family and friends behind to make their way to horizons unknown.
So again, that's just some of the displays that they have throughout the museum. It takes about maybe half an hour per video documentary that they have, depending on which genre of music that you're listening to. But one of the things that I noticed when you go through here, some of the titles of a lot of these songs, right? Think of your most raunchiest song title today. Let's go back to yesterday. Look at the titles.
Butterbean and Susan.
Sweet Papa Butterbean and Sweet Mama Susan.
Yes, I've been cheating.
Tell it the way it
Hard
is.
luck blues. Mama, Papa don't want to go back home.
There was a song called Flatfoot Bluesy
Well,
back in the day.
It was. It
And I had
was.
to change the lyric.
Bluesy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they changed it to Flatfoot.
They actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, Roger, because here in the museum, they have both renditions.
Flatfoot Flugie
Yes,
and Flusie.
they
right?
have both renditions.
Right.
And you got to put the headphones on to listen to it. Well, all the music pretty much,
Yeah.
you got to put headphones on to listen to it. This display they have of B.B. King. The jazz room is phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. But again, the precursor to jazz and the blues is country. That's the precursor. But black people today, I don't like country music. But then you don't like jazz and you don't like blues. You don't like R&B, you don't like hip hop either. Because the origin is country music. We went through that already. Who the first stars was. Meridian, Mississippi was where my father, Jimmy Rogers, when only a little boy would sit for hours and listen to the black railroad workers on my grandfather's gang singing their work songs and blues. Those same black men told him to play the banjo and the guitar, Nita Rogers. There's a story behind it. Here's me listening to some music. Again, you got to take that bracelet and scan it properly. Because if you scan it incorrectly, they're going to kick you off and you got to start from scratch. So you do. So you got to know what you're doing. That's what I'm saying. You got to be a little technologically savvy.
The music goes on the bracelet?
Yes. And
How
when
many
you go
gets
back,
on the bracelet?
when you're done, take your bracelet, go to the counter, load your email up in there, you scan the bracelet, everything will be emailed to you.
Oh, I gotta go
Fascinating. It's fascinating. I got like 1,200 songs in my library. I ain't even listened to all of them that I brought home. Even though it's just, that's the thing. You can't. It's hard-coded. It's hard-coded because they want you to pay. They want you to pay a fee of $5 to listen here, right? You look at the Beatles. Nobody talks about the sister who found them, right? Nobody talks about the sister who found the Beatles, but everybody talks about the Beatles. How can you do that?
Go back to that. Go back to that so I can put it on the Zoom.
He's a Duke Ellington shooter.
No, go back to the Beatles.
Excuse me, Bobby Blue Bling. Oh, the Beatles?
Yeah.
You showed the Beatles, but you
okay, now, no, just hold up. Now, repeat that again, Keisha.
A black woman founded the Beatles.
Okay.
Right?
What was the big water?
Huh?
What was the clip for the Beatles?
The what?
What was the clip for the Beatles? Oh, the tombstone.
Yeah. So anyway, as you're moving through the museum, this is the hip hop room, and they talk about all the samples that hip hop artists have pulled. The thing about that, like again, when you enter this room, I can pull up Kendrick Lamar, but I can also pull the original recordings of what he sampled at the same time, right? So that you can hear where it all comes from.
You mean sample or stole?
Sample.
Oh, okay.
Sample. Yeah, you can definitely hear it. Here's a video I try to take in the jazz room. But of course, you know, people moving through, they're talking, you know, African, indigenous music and jazz. The amusements which the Negroes most esteem next to conversation are music and dancing. Their musical instruments are drums, flutes, and horns, and the kind of rude guitar, John Howison. Connections between jazz and African culture run deep, both in terms of instrumentation and intent. Throughout recorded history, there is ample evidence of peoples throughout Africa using horns, drums, rattles, and gongs, as described in the 1800s by a British visitor to what is now Ghana, to accompany dancers moving in circles to their beat. So he recorded that. Written recorded, of course, and then they tell the story. Slave codes and musical suppression. You don't see that? Legislators, fearing music's power to unify and inspire people. Wasn't we talking about the magic? Enacted slave codes across most of the South that regulated music. The codes dating to the colonial era and patterned after codes first enacted in British ruled Barbados in the 1600s specified that enslaved people cannot beat drums or blow horns. Yet, despite the prohibitions, African Americans preserved and passed down cherished vocal and instrumental traditions generation to generation. The importance of horns and drums in African life. Music has long been woven into the very fabric of everyday life in Africa. Creating and enjoying music and dancing brought a sense of community. It's not for your personal enjoyment. It's for the community. It's gathering. To everything from social gatherings to military celebrations. Wind and percussion instruments, horns and drums, are especially common across diverse African communities and cultures. That made them particularly significant to people who were brought to North America against their will, a powerful tie to their lost homelands and cultures. And again, they have some of the drums that were brought with the enslaved here. They have a room just for that, just for that. Roots and early development. Groups of 50s to 100s, let me expand this so I can read it myself, may have been in different sections of the square with banjos, tom-toms, violins, jawbones, triangles, and various other instruments, and a variety of queer, grotesque, fantastic, strange, and merry dances are to be seen. Jazz blossomed in America. but its roots are in Africa and in the Caribbean. Okay, Rajan?
It's not. Who's writing this?
African musical customs transplanted here in the colonial era survived and evolved. Core elements, improvisation, call and response, all of that, all of that, all of that, all of that. So again, like I said, it takes a little while to go through these museums, but the displays are endless, endless. Displays that they have there. I'm planning on going back in a couple of months by myself. And sometimes when you go with people, they want to move through the displays and exhibits, and I don't got time for that. I like to take my time. I like to take my time and get through it.
I'll go with you. I'll hold your band.
So, this is the microphone that Billie Holiday carried with her. She had her own mic, right? It was specially made for her. They have some information about that in the museum as well. This is her contract with the Copacabana nightclub. Let's see if I can pull up a little bit of what she wanted, right? So again, a lot of these contracts too are also on display. Here's a better picture of it. Again, 1957. Lenny Littman, the owner of the Copacabana. Lenny Littman. I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna leave that right there. But this was her contract. She was paid $17.50 for each gig. At the bottom, it shows her provisions and all the stuff that she asked for, and they made sure she got what she wanted. But again, you can see that and other things in the museum as well. This is Ella Fitzgerald's Grammy that they have on display there. Ella and Basie, their music is, listen. I'll tell you, where the jazz room is something to behold. Something to behold. I don't care about Benny Goodman. I told y'all that was Duke Ellington's suit. And his contract. Okay, so we went through all of those. So if you get a chance, in your time, this is the 80s room, right? You got Lionel Richie.
He's a country singer.
He is a country singer.
Big time.
Big time.
And he stole that reggae too.
That's Whitney Houston's. So again, that's just some of the displays, but I thought this wall was fascinating. They got gym days and everything up, and it goes so far. No way you can take it all in one shot. So I guess my sister did the best she could. But if you can, get yourself down to Nashville and see that museum and see all of the great music that they have that belong to us. And as you move through the exhibits, try to put yourself in a time where you remember some of your best songs, some of your greatest songs that resonate with you, right? As you go through that museum, and it's just overwhelming. They have a place at the top where you can sit and, just relax and compile. Of course, they have a gift shop. I bought this shirt from the gift shop. But it's definitely a place to behold, and I would encourage everybody, if you can, and then, take a quick drive down to Memphis on the black side and see what's going on over there. But, again, they have all of our music in their possession. All of it.
Did you find out anything about the lady that supposedly invented the kick drum in jazz?
I didn't. Again, like I said, it's so much to see there. It's just impossible to get through in one trip. It's just impossible. If you're a music lover. If you're not, then you can walk through and look and keep it moving. But again, each console holds about 1,000 recorded songs. So you will be there forever. But hold on to these traditions. Like I said, you're about to start getting together with family. Hold on to those traditions and pass them down.
You gotta pay every, like if you wanted to go in, you gotta pay every time.
You do a question and answer now?
No. Yeah.
Okay,
you don't have to pay for time.
First question will be from the floor. Anybody got a question or comment from the floor? Go ahead, Rob. Question or comment?
No, it's just, you pay one time, they give you the wristband,
Yeah,
you go back.
You can go out and come back. Yeah.
No, I mean like the next day, you gotta pay again?
Yes.
How much is it?
If you want the music band, I think it's $30, I think. The music band is $20-something.
Oh, okay.
So, but if you go, get the band. Because you can't leave it off the music without it.
Yeah, but you can't leave one day.
Right. So, all right. Any more questions from the floor? I want to get
Anybody
you as
from the
quick as
floor?
possible.
Zoom audience got a question? Zoom audience?
Peaceful greetings. You talking to the folks on Zoom?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, my name is Leona. I reside in Michigan. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Ms. Keisha.
I'll try to answer.
First of all, now, what was the name of the book, the title of the book, and the name of the author that you talked about early in the presentation?
Okay.
The green one, yes. Oh,
Okay, the green one,
Yeah,
this is Kebuka by Dr. Imanu Baruti.
I'm writing it down. Thank you.
Yeah, Kebuka. And the other one is Urban Culture Decoded.
Urban Culture. And that's by the Black Dot.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Forwarded by A.A. Rashid.
Yeah. Now, sorry about the background noise here. Thank you for this very interesting presentation. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you
I
for
didn't know
watching.
about 21 Black Swan records and a whole bunch of that.
Yeah.
Now, you also mentioned how Black Dot said, what you chant, you bring into being.
Yes.
And that music is supposed to hold your memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm curious, does he perhaps talk about the difference between music and just straight up noise?
What do you mean by noise?
Well, okay, I heard somebody define music as, music is sounds that you listen to that inspire you to do constructive things. And if you're listening to something that doesn't inspire you to do constructive things, then chances are good it's noise.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Ask the question again?
Yes, but I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What was the question?
Well, I was wondering if Black Dot had, when he says what you chant, you bring into being,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it made me think of, the folks who drive the big cars or the small cars, and you can hear them coming a block or a half a block away.
Mm-hmm.
What is that about?
He's talking about both, right? Because those who listen to what you may consider noise, yes, you chant it and you bring it into being, right? It's the same with what you would consider music, right? Something good to listen to. If you continuously sing it, you get a euphoric feeling while singing that song. your favorite song, whatever it may be. It makes you feel good, right? So it depends. When you listen, when some people may say the things that people in my generation or the baby boomer generation listen to is trash. They consider it trash. So again, it's to your liking, but that's what he meant in the book. No matter what it is, if you chant it, you're going to bring it into existence. So if I'm talking about killing everybody and doing dope and so on and so forth, you bring it into existence. Case in point, there's a hip-hop artist who's married to Cardi B, Offset. And I think that's his name. But anyway, he talks about dope use in his songs. But he said if the listeners only knew I was a lightweight, that's not what I'm into. But he sings it because that's what's going to bring him revenue. So that's why you have people who are trying to form commissions now to change this around, to say no more, right? If an artist wants to record whatever it is he or she wants to, then you have to respect that. You cannot force them or pigeonhole them into a particular genre just because it sells, right? Because record sales are not what they used to be back in the days because of streaming, right? It's a whole different ball game now. So the artist will make even less money if he did not do that because he would get no promotion, basically is what he was saying. So it depends on, how you see it. Again, I hear some things to me is trash, right? So I won't listen to it. It rubs my spirit the wrong way. So he's right on both points. Depending on good or bad, if you chant it, you will bring it into existence. So that's what he means.
Yes, ma'am. I have several other questions, but I don't want to hog the time. So can I get another go at it, or can I ask you a couple more now, or how's this going to go?
No, you can ask one more question.
And then I go on.
Okay. What is the name of the singer who you said sounds like Marvin Gaye?
October London.
October?
London. Mm-hmm.
London.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the video clip that was part of your presentation, where the young man they were winning an award, and they talked about the $900 seats inside the building and people being hungry on the street. Was that the Digital Planets group? Is that correct?
Yeah. Diggable Planets, yes.
Oh, Diggable Planets.
Mm-hmm.
Digital.
Okay, Diggable Planets.
Diggable, yeah.
All right, then. Okay, I'll stop at this point. Maybe I can get another round. Thank you.
And sometimes you need some music, it motivates the protests and so forth. So hearing loud music from a car or whatever, like Public Enemy, and that would be the reason why. Go ahead.
What did you say?
I was saying sometimes you need some of the fight the power and so forth. So it's not so much what's coming out of the cars. It motivates us to do things that need to be done.
We talked about movements have the soundtracks of movements, right? The reason why you don't have a movement now is there is no soundtrack for it. And everybody that tried to do it, they stifled them. Like a Kendrick Lamar, right? And Chance the Rapper and many others, right? Nipsey Hussle, he out of here. Nipsey was the greatest thing smoking, I'm sorry, but he was. His music was it was unbelievable. They took him out of here.
Mahalia Jackson.
So, listen.
Did you know? Martin Luther King listened to her
to
be motivated, When he was really struggling.
Let me show you something real quick.
We don't believe you in the eye of the sky, but Khalid Muhammad worked with Public Enemy.
Do you know Frederick Douglass recording a song?
No.
With the Fist Jubilee Singers?
No, did not know that.
Yes, he did. He had a party at his house one evening, and they were asking him about, things he would sing on the plantation. And they started to talk about it, and while they were talking about it, they started to take notes of what he was talking about. So he recorded a song with the First Jubilee Singers. All right? Or re-recorded the song.
Can I make an observation?
Yeah.
I just want to make an observation.
Mm-hmm.
The presentation, I thank you for giving us the opportunity to see what's there. Mm-hmm. And it's excellent to remind us that African people made music.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw what you were showing me, when they say jazz and they say everybody that I saw in the presentation all is playing different types of music. They're all Africans.
Yes.
That make a difference whether you call them Cubans or the rest of it.
Right.
So the point that I want to make is that everybody there is an African.
Right.
Whether or not you in the United States
right.
during slavery, whatever it is, it's all African people.
Right.
The other thing is, we get a chance, maybe we'll bring some of the slides. When you go to Egypt, on the walls, in the temples, and you can even get it in books, you will see the violin, you will see the cello, you'll see the bass. You will see most of the horns. Now, whether or not you blowing something, you're going to see horns that look tubular,
pointing out of the mouth.
like a clarinet. You're going to see the bassoon. You're going to even see the Irish play. What is it? The pipes. You see it right there. So most of these instruments that human beings are using, you see them right there. The music from what they put there. They had all of these musical instruments at weddings, at funerals, when the king and the pharaoh, when they would move around. You'll see workers drumming. So everything that you see here, all of the different things in the field, picking and stuff, you see exactly on the walls and in the temples and other places. So you were looking at Africa back during the Egyptian times, 10,000 BC at least. The other thing is, there were times when they would move the guard, one guard would meet another guard. And you'll see on the wall, they will have a monthly festival. Go from one city to another city that lasts a month. And when you look at that, you see, what do they have here on September the 2nd? The Labor Day Fair? Identical. You see it. You see that. All the big fairs that you see in Brazil, Nigeria, any place around the world where you see black people, African people marching, dancing and stuff, you see it right on that wall. You see it right in there. So you see all the instruments. So what you're seeing here, your ancestors back then and now use music for everything. Parties, funerals, you name it. So you're looking at Africa. And I just made a mention to this young lady here that in Vanuatu, we asked our brothers and sisters in Vanuatu, and they tell us that they have gods. They can trace their god, one of their gods, to Raga. 9,000 years from mouth to mouth, to show you how broad this is. What you're seeing here is excellent. It's a minor snapshot of what African people have done, and you see this all around it. When they would take one god to meet another god, they would have the same festival along, I don't know, I'm blocking, along, what's it, September 2nd, huh?
Labor Day.
Yeah, the Labor Day, I don't know. You see exactly the same thing. Massive amount of people. And that go from one city 1 month, not 2 days. So I just wanted to bring that to attention for us to add to what you had said so that we don't see, we see in different aspects of Africa. And it's there. Same instrument, the same music, everything is the same.
And as you said, the way you see it or saw it on the wall, the way they use music for everything.
Everything.
So that's what I'm saying. Music is not the way they have it now, right? The way you can get music now is to your own pleasure, right? So you can download what you want on your phone. But we have to continue to make it communal for everything, right? And you got to be mindful of the music that you're playing because if it's for the community, you can't play ratchet music when kids is running around or grandma and grandpa is sitting there. You understand? My mom will punch you in the throat. She's good for that. She will punch you in your throat. I never mess with our niece.
If you want to see how this country would look like, if there were no African people, go to visit some of the European countries and see what you have.
They don't.
So that tells you right there. You see what you want to know, which we all know. You want to see what's here, and you argue. Show me in any part of Europe or wherever else these people come from. Show me any country music. You can't find it there. Everything that's done here is Africa.
Yep. He's right. You ain't gonna find it. It don't exist. And that's why when we travel abroad to perform, as he said, when you go into these, let's say Sweden, you go to Sweden, they're coming up and they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for Beyonce tickets because this is something they don't have. And they never will. Even though it's black people who live in Sweden, right? You got hip-hop artists from around the globe. But as Dr. Lewis says, when we use music, number one is for healing purposes, number two is for the mind, and number three is for the community. It's for the community. Music, you can listen to certain solfeggio frequencies that will heal you, right? Meditation, right? You go to yoga class, they listen to meditation. Music is life. And that's why now it's problematic. Because if you got people like, what's the dude, the country music, the Ride the Cowboy dude who was having sex with the devil on the stage. This is what they're trying to do. To steal your magic. To keep you in degeneracy. To keep you crazy. They want to see Sexy Red, 6 months pregnant, twerking on the floor.
Israel promotes that.
But they won't show you a Miko Mars. It's crazy.
So you don't like Sexy Red?
No, I don't. In fact, I want to fight her. So if you know her, let me know where she at.
No.
I pull up.
No.
That's it. I don't talk about it, I pull up. Go to Fort Greene and ask me. Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Just one thing. Just remind everybody that the African music, all variation, is the only music that the world listens to.
Yes.
Nobody listens to the Chinese music. Nobody listens to any of your, any place you go.
That's right.
It's you.
That's right.
It
don't matter where you go. You're right. And if they can't listen to it, they're going to try to mimic it. What's the group out of, is it Korea or China? B26 or whatever they name it.
Miss D.
I have questions about
Koreans
in your presentation.
Okay.
Who was George? Somebody who was the first black.
George Johnson? Yes.
From Whistling Coon.
That was his #1 single, Whistling Coon.
Okay. Then who was Eileen Southern?
Who?
Eileen Southern. You read a thing that she did.
Elaine, you mean?
Eileen, E-I-L-E-E-N, Southern.
Yeah, it's a misspelling of her name. That's the way, it's like on my birth certificate it's spelled Keisha, but my mother didn't name me Keisha. So it's really Elaine. That's just a mistake. But I get who you're saying. I get who you're talking about.
What did she was, what was her motto or her?
Well, her motto was she hated white folks. That's what she hated white folks.
Oh.
She hated white folks. So when she started to record, a lot of her original music spoke of that, just of that. But of course they wouldn't release it. So when she would have, like, let's say for example, she had them, they called them speakeasies back then. So she would go to a speakeasy and come in to perform. Cops would be waiting for her outside, but she didn't give it in. This is what I'm saying. Artists today, they have to be more revolutionary in their approach so that we don't have to listen to, as the sister said on the Zoom, noise or trash. So the next time I come back, when I start talking about the stories behind some of these greatest hits and the commissions that are being formed now to try to change all of that. And there are three former executives of the music industry that are trying to change it right now. So hopefully...
You'll be successful. I ask you one question, I'll leave you alone.
Okay.
D4 Bailey was the first black...
Country music star. Sang out of the Grand Ole Opry. First one to do it.
Is he related to Philip Miller?
I don't know. Could be. Could be. And next time too, we'll talk about renditions and collaborations, right? A lot of songs that we hear today were already recorded, and some we're going to compare and contrast a lot of these artists, right? There was one I sent to Brother Mike of You and I, originally recorded by Stevie Wonder, but Ralph Carter's rendition was fantastic, and I think it's better than Stevie's. That's just my opinion.
You and I?
Yes. Now think about the episode of Good Times when Thelma got married. That's when he sang it. And it left Esther Roll in tears. I got an interview of her talking about that.
She also danced and performed with Maya Angelou for Malcolm X when he gave his speech.
Esther Roll?
She was
cute. Interesting.
She was a woman, yeah.
Interesting.
Are you going to tell us who the minister was that raped this building?
Oh, I sure will. I sure will. The next time I come.
T.D. Jakes.
No, he wasn't. Stop playing. I will. Next time.
Yeah, just want to ask. I know it's it sounds like it's something you probably do later, but just wanted to ask you with respect to the beginning. You mentioned many genres. The beginning genre of so-called rap, and the fact that Louis Jordan was rapping in the 50s, 60s. You had Gary Bird and others. You know, you had the Last Poets, some of these others rapping.
Cab Calloway,
Cab Calloway, so many others, and later, you know, Jocko and all of them. And yet, we are misguided to believe somehow rap came out of the Bronx.
Come on.
You know, when they started making all this music with each other.
Started by a Jamaican named Cool Herc.
Tell that truth.
So, you know, so I'm just saying that there's a lot of misrepresentation that I hope in your next presentation you get into.
Very much so.
And according to the book of
because tonight I just wanted to talk about the communal connection of music and what its purpose was for. Right?
And they did that at the Schomburg, saying that the music came out Brooklyn, Queens, not the Bronx. Hip-hop actually means higher infinite power helping our people.
Let me get her.
That's what hip-hop means.
No, it's not.
Let me see, you got jazz and blues, you got country, you got R&B, you got hip-hop, you got classical, you got metal, you have metal, yeah.
Oh, M-E-T-A.
Yeah.
Somebody.
You have, now you have K-pop, and they're creating these things, right? So that they can understand it. That's where these genres come from, because next time I come, I'm going to show the interview with Jelly Roll Morton when he says, this is not what it is. Who told you that? We don't make up these genres. right? So
it's about 10 or so or more.
yeah, and they're creating more every day, right? You got neo soul, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what that is.
And Keisha, just want to say that the foundation of this is, as Dr. Lewis pointed out, it's African.
No, it's not.
All day.
When they got off the ship, when they were in there, when they...
Don't let Rajon get y'all riled up.
I just told him, go listen
Just the
to
fact of the matter
Khalid
is,
Muhammad's
you
hip hop.
saying that is communal. It is communal. It's the spirit, and then how do you carry this spirit, conceal it at the same time? You're prevented from playing the drum and certain percussions, but you maintain it when you're raising your baby, when you're singing along with others, when you're working in the field, the cornfield ditties, what have you. And this is what developed into what we commonly call, for lack of a better term, the blues. And literally every music you can think of to this day, worth a grain of salt, comes out of the blues.
Country was before blues.
When you at a protest,
All right.
you get weary.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sister Keisha Breaking Head. Zoom audience, we want to thank you for participating in our program tonight. Thank you very